Hey, what's up, everybody? BDL44 coming at you with another video. All right, so hope everybody's having a good start to their day. I'm barely getting out the house at like, was it 1 o'clock? Not pleased about how this is going for myself. Sleeping in this room. What I find for myself is if the room doesn't face the sun a certain way, my body is not going to wake up until it starts seeing a certain level of shine through the window. And you keep the blackout curtains going, you got, that kind of thing, I'm going to fall. I'm going to stay asleep. So I find myself waking up on average at like 9:30 here in this room. It's not how I like to operate. I preferably, for how my schedule goes, actually like to get up around 8 o'clock. But it's impossible to do that. And so my sleep's thrown off because I get up later. So now I'm, finding myself going to sleep at different hours, waking up at weird hours, trying to make up for the lack of sleep. And so I just had a bad sleeping pattern here in this particular room. And the sun doesn't really shine in it, as I'm saying. So, yeah, man, it's hit or miss with certain rooms when it comes to that. Some rooms, you're going to get up at 7 o'clock because the sun is shining directly on you as soon as you wake up in the morning. That's the first thing you see. Other rooms, it feels like it's 5 in the afternoon with the sun about to go down in the morning. Like, it's craziness. So I don't know, man. I'm just not thrilled about the fact that I got that going on, and then the Lakers start very early today and pretty much start very early for the rest of the week. So it's like I gotta find a way to start my day sooner so that I can get everything I need to get done without trying to hurry home and all of that. So that's just a little frustrated with that personally, but ain't nothing too serious outside of that. I'm feeling pretty good. No complaints outside of just starting my day too late, and my sleep rotation and schedule is really thrown off right now. Really, really thrown off. So, hopefully with the Lakers situation, they will have games start later, more so as we go forward in the season, since we're getting a lot of these early games out the way. Hopefully the second half of the season will have nothing but 7:30 games. So it'll be easier to manage, man, because I want to keep up with them and keep up with what I got to get done. And they be having all these back-to-backs. So right after basketball games, you got to watch highlights of the next opponent so that you can be ready for that. So it's like, last night I wanted to do art. I wanted to listen to playlists, all different types of stuff. And it's like, I had to carve out an hour to watch highlights for the opponent that they're going to be playing tonight when I had just watched the game for theirs last night. So it's like the schedule doesn't really make it very easy for talking heads and coaches and people who have to study this stuff because, there's only but so much time in a day. It's like you want us to know everything we need to know, but you keep on cramming these games together, and having them start early and all that does not help as well. So, yeah, man, I love what I do for the Lakers, and I'm still gonna do it, but it's become a significant inconvenience how they schedule these games to start this season, man, for what it is I do. And I'm pretty sure other Laker fans probably feel that way as well. It's just not, it ain't convenient, man. We prefer these games to start around 6:30, 7:30 at night, Western Pacific time would be for what makes me happy. That would be what it is, man. So yeah, that's pretty much what I got to say about that. Trying to keep up, though. I watched the highlights, did all that. Did end up doing some art last night and for my playlist, and for, made a one piece that I thought was really good. Some of the other pieces are okay, Been consistent with that. Working out. I haven't been doing my hundreds like I should be doing. I've only done it once out of the last 6 days. It's not good, but couple that with not walking as much because I've been trying to stick around the house for the games and for other things like Bible study. This ain't getting the exercise that I've been wanting for myself over the last, week and a half. It's just not trying to be able to address all the things that I like to address in my life. It just ain't been enough time in the day, and me oversleeping makes it even worse. So that's really what I gotta say, man. I'm just trying to keep up, feel as if I'm staying consistent with the things that I love to focus on. So that's really what it is. Trying my best. My focus is right now just getting some groceries. It's one of the things that I've been letting kind of slide, and of course Thanksgiving kind of threw things off a little bit as well. But that was a welcome situation there, and trying to just get ready to move on from this room. Of course, on Thursday, I'm hopeful that I won't have any issues getting a room down at the place that I was at last week in Sun Valley, or should I say last time 3 weeks ago. That was a nice place for me to stay overnight, even though it kind of pulls you out of the way. You can't really do nothing that day, as it pertains to going to the train and stuff like that. You gotta basically Uber to the train station or catch a bus to the bus in order to get to some of the places I like to go in the daytime. But for me, I don't find that to be too inconvenient for me. When it really comes down to it, I'll just forego opportunities to do things those days. When I gotta have a layover, I'm just out of the way. Doesn't bother me. I got a lot of stuff to do after 2 o'clock on a day like that. Day goes by fast. I take a little walk, come back, shower, do a little art, and then next thing I know, I'm all, it's the next day. So I don't have too much of a problem with that. But yeah, man, that's what I'm hopeful for, that I won't have any trouble getting a room there. And it seems like that place is so far out the way that I don't think they overbook too much. That's just a guess, who knows, but I doubt that hotel overbooks very much, so we'll see. But yeah, man, there's a lot of stuff to consider in the world, man. I just think that what I've been really most focused on is just trying to keep up with my schedule, really, my own personal world, try to do Bible study, make sure I was around for that. But yesterday, nobody was really available for Bible study. I don't know what everybody was doing, but they didn't have it yesterday. So, we just moved in a different direction. Just gonna do it next week. And, it kind of worked out for me because I was preparing to miss some of the first quarter of the Laker game, but didn't have to. So God worked that out for me to be able to see the game. And we won the game, so no complaining here. But, yeah, man, it's just me, waiting on the replenishment of EBT on the 7th. Today's the 2nd. So I think I have enough to take care of what I need to take care of for the most part. But, it's one of them situations where just probably overspent a little bit because I wanted to buy all that dang pomegranate. You know what I mean? To make sure I have a pomegranate every day. Them things like $3 a pop. So that ain't really feasible. They're very expensive. But it's very healthy for me. The seeds really help, and all the digestive stuff. It's good for the heart and everything. So I'm enjoying eating those maybe 4 or 5 times a week. So that piles up to be pretty expensive. But I think it's good. It's good for me. So, just trying to keep up, man. Look in the mirror, see myself starting to get in shape from all the stuff that I've been doing, but nothing like I looked last year around this time. But the work is being put in. I know I'm getting stronger, so it ain't gonna be me complaining about how I look. When you're 40 years old, at the end of the day, your body's gonna kind of find itself not really in the same shape that it used to be when you used to move around as a young person. And so, Father Time has won a lot of matchups, believe me, all of them. So I'm no exception, but I try to keep myself eating the right things, and given the fact that I have some of the digestive issues, I find myself a little frustrated with how my body's reacting to eating healthy. I just only imagine how my body would be if I was eating the stuff that a lot of people do in this culture, and I'd be doing really bad. So I can't complain, man. I just got to keep pushing forward. I feel strong, so just gotta work the fat off. But yeah, man, that's really all I gotta say. I just want to babble a little bit about myself. Of course, I always tell people, all eyes on Gaza, man. They got this bomb that's disintegrating people, from what I understand. They can't even find any bodies. Like I said, it's a testing lab at this point. And that whole genocide is a testing lab for many things. And, they're doing all kinds of evil stuff to these people, killing them all kinds of weird ways, justifying it. Of course, we all saw that Biden pardoned his son for whatever crimes he's done. Something that the administration said they would never do. We're getting frustrated at people asking if they were going to do it, even though they ultimately turned around and did it anyway. You know, I saw about a minute clip of what appeared to be a look into Biden's son's files and just some of the stuff that's there. You know, this is ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. Some of the stuff that dude is ultimately going to be able to walk the streets to, you know, after doing, you know, a lot of PDF file stuff, a lot of bribing and things like that, drug use. You know, he's out of control, man. That Hunter Biden dude is, if any of that stuff was proven to be true, should be in jail. Should be in jail. He should be in prison. So that his father pardoned him, you know, just speaks to the morals of the family themselves. You know? Speaks to who they are. You know, you can get away with anything if you're the right person's son. You can do all types of evil stuff, and they have pictures and photos of you being a sicko, and you don't do no time. Don't hear hardly anything about it. Let Puff Daddy do the same things, and it never ends. R. Kelly do the same thing, it never ends. Why ain't there no Hunter Biden, surviving Hunter Biden videos out there? No Netflix specials on Hunter Biden? None of that? No? Maybe not. So that's my attitude on that. I just roll my eyes and say, you know, I mean, it's all in our face right now. Everything that's wrong with white supremacy is in our face right now. We see how they're acting. They're trying to relive their glorious colonial days in the Middle East right now, right in front of all of our eyes. So, as to where most of the time in our lives that's not what's going on, and we just have to kind of coerce ourselves away from the propaganda to be aware of just how awful that entity is. But right now, it's in all our faces. You know, it's a different world for that energy. We're all thinking about it. If we're paying attention to it one way or another, it's on our minds how awful they have been toward people, and how unapologetically biased they've behaved in so many different areas of life. And this is what we see today: is Hunter Biden getting pardoned for the same stuff that Puff Daddy's being basically crucified for. Both of them deserve to be on the same cross, but Hunter's the president's son. So, you know, they get to do this kind of quietly. I don't know, man. I'm sick of it personally, and I think most people are, and change is imminent because of it. You know, I think change comes when people get sick of crap, you know. And at this point, I think we're really sick of that. A lot of us. Those who don't benefit from it, those who don't align with it, those who don't like it representing them, we're all tired of it. You know, so meanwhile, President-elect Donald Trump is getting on TV saying if the hostages aren't released by Hamas, he's going to bring down one of the worst strikes that the American history has ever brought down. It's like, you've already destroyed that place with all your bombs. I mean, what you going to do, more of the same? Like, America's already destroyed Gaza. What are you going to do, hit them harder? What's harder? They don't have nothing left. They've done all the worst stuff to these people. That's the most empty statement. That's like me stomping on somebody's shoe a million times and then threatening to stomp on their shoe after I finish doing it. It's like, stomp on it some more, you mean? Like, it's posturing. It's not real. At the end of the day, this is not real. And people are standing behind lies, standing behind posturing and supporting people that they know are doing wrong, and they're doing it on purpose because it aligns with the politics. It's just a bunch of actors and actresses moving about, pretending things are not as they are, as they continue to do whatever the hell they want. I'm at a point where I'm like, man, it's a damn shame that we allowed this to happen in our lifetimes. One of the worst things that America has ever done, specifically America has ever done, is align with Israel. I'd say it's in the bottom 3 worst things America's ever done. Down there with the genocide that ultimately put this place together, and the slavery that ultimately built it, is what we're doing in modern times, aligning with Israel. It's awful, man. Israel's awful, and we are awful with them, and that's just what it is. And it's a lot of people who disagree with that, and they're awful people. or uninformed, or a little bit of both. So I ain't got no patience for it, man. I don't. I'm at a point where anytime God want to do whatever he gonna do to these people, just know that I'm in support of it. That's what I tell God. Like, whenever you're ready, man, I will adjust to whatever comes with that, because I'm standing in this place. I will adjust. But believe me, when the wrath comes, it ain't gonna be me sitting up here saying, oh, please, God, stop this. No, don't. Keep going. They deserve it. This country deserves it. And that's really what it is, man. You know, peace in the Middle East, man. That's really a phrase that was said a lot when I was a very small child. When America was going into the Middle East and destroying stuff and then blaming it on the Middle Eastern people. And one of the things they used to say a lot in the 80s, peace in the Middle East. Well, I'm telling you, man, there ain't gonna be no peace in the Middle East unless we get out of there. Until we stop feasting on their lack of peace, there will be no peace. If it ain't the presence of Uncle Sam, there is peace in the Middle East. Uncle Sam wants you to think they've been fighting forever. Uncle Sam's been terrorizing these people forever. That's the truth. Uncle Arian's been terrorizing the people in the Middle East for as long as he's been around to do so. And so that's the reality of it. It's the intentions of people who look to disrupt that ultimately make it what it is. As I come to understand it, that's what it is. And I guess we're just supposed to sit here and just be cool with it, because, you know, we don't find ourselves being bombed. It's all safe for us, because obviously, look around. We're pretty good, right? Even though we suffer some of the ills of the stuff that comes our way in our society, we're not being bombed every 3 minutes because of stuff that we do. So apparently, by that logic, we're supposed to be considering doing something right. Ain't nothing right. That's not right. And, you know, as a person of color, I find myself in an impossible space from which to support it, because a lot of it has to do with believing that people of European descent and white skin are supposed to reign superior over that of people of color. That's what drives the mistreatment, is the deep belief and understanding that they're simply better than those people. So I have to think that these entities are better than myself in order to even align with their intentions. And that's obviously not something that I'm able to do as a black person. Although there are many black people who appear to. You know what I mean? They appear to, or they think it's so futile that they fight against it so that they can see some change. They would much rather join, even though they don't necessarily benefit from it. It's like, well, master treats me nice type energy. I like the big house. I don't want to go back in the fields type energy. So, you know, a lot of us just sit back and align with and strengthen the intentions of who deems themselves superior on the backs of the leverage we provide them. And, you know, it needs to stop. I cannot stress this enough. That needs to stop, man. There's nothing okay about that. People of color are human beings. White people are human beings. Asian people are human beings. However that goes. We're all people. We all have thoughts. We all have intentions. We all have culture. We all would love to be able to do for our families and, you know, live in things, you know, be all right and have what we consider to be fruitful, luxurious lives. Everybody wants the same thing. So some people have rigged the game for their descendants and ultimately have the ability to dictate much of what happens next based on the atrocities and the evil that was done early, before a lot of people were walking around today even got here. And it's incumbent upon those of us who care to mobilize efforts to find balance and fairness for which it is often not found. And you know, the fact that we would continue to just be okay with things as they are, you know, seeing it's no use in changing anything, that's exactly the type of mental application of futility that they ultimately need everybody to agree with in order for that to continue. And the internet and, camera technology and things of that nature have made it so that there's a new variable in place that allows for the beginning of the end of that, for which is their reign. And I think we need to continue to build upon that in our understanding, and in our use of our devices, continue to tell the truth, to deteriorate the agreeable nature of doing horrible things to people all over the world for the betterment of people who happen to feel they're better than others. And that is just what it is, man. And I'm encouraged by so much of what it is that I see aligns with that conversation. I think we're better for continuing these conversations. And I think it'll be ultimately better for all people, including those who benefit from it in the long run, if we deteriorate what keeps the game rigged for wrongdoing to be done to indigenous people all over the world. I think we'll help a lot of our own problems if we stop deserving the worst for what it is we allow to happen to others. And so that's something that I want to say, man. You can't rid the world of people of color. You can't torture us into a submission to a point where we don't have ambition to, self-determination. You can't break what is unbreakable, and that is what I ultimately want to say to all of us. And the spirit of what it is that is, been done to us hasn't broken us fully, because we're still standing, we're still working, we're still striving, we're still talking. There's still representatives here that speak the truth and represent themselves well. Warriors ready to fight, all different types of things. People ready to save one another, all different types of representatives that show life in us. We're not done. We haven't been broken, and that's ultimately what I see every day. The lie that we can't live amongst each other, or that we gotta push people away. I can look around me and see right now that we don't have to do that. I see diversity all over the world in one spot. People from all over the world come to this one spot, try to make a way for themselves, try to find whatever the dream would be. And in the presence of that, the irony of it all is that it's built on the idea that only a few people should be able to stand firm. Like there should only be one or two types of people in the world, and that they should be separate and all of that. The very essence of what makes this place what it is proves that ideology is flawed in nature. Now, I can argue that the biggest problem that America has is that it has too much of what makes decisions here not exposed to the truth of harmony amongst different cultures. There's too many people who make real decisions for this country who only know people that look like them, who only know of the mythical ideologies of what happens when they blend. They don't actually know. Places where it's only white people making decisions for the whole world around them, the country around them. Having this idea that you got to push all those people away because look what they're going to do to us, or that we got to keep these people away because they're going to take this and that from us. They never was raised in a place that proves otherwise. They were never in a space where they knew of children when they were kids that were of all different colors and shapes and sizes. I was looking at the Utah Jazz Laker game yesterday, and they were showing some teachers, in one of their little halftime ceremonies. They were celebrating teachers in Utah, and they showed pictures of the room. And nothing but white kids. It was like one Native American lady in the far corner. Everybody else is Caucasian. And I'm saying to myself, they don't know a world where everybody looks different than them. They don't know a world where they have friends that look like someone else. And if they do, they're alienated in an environment for which there's a majority, a vast majority. Like, that robs you of the opportunity to understand what the world is truly about. The common nature of humanity amongst people who are not the same color, same creed, same cultures. There's not nearly enough diversity in this country at all, to be honest with you. Although there's plenty of it in the big cities, there's still a great deal of people who think lies about what it looks like when that's the reality, or think that there's going to be warfare or discomfort or something like that if they start allowing people who don't look like them into their midst. Like, they got to break down those lies in order to make responsible decisions that better this country, honestly, that really, really improve what is otherwise going to be in this country. You can't have people who don't know people making decisions for everybody, who believe old wives' tales about what Mexican people gonna do, what black people are about. That the only people they should really trust are people that look like them, that they don't have to hold themselves accountable for being trustworthy to anyone other than people look like them. Like, that type of stuff. Racism is just, it lives in those ignorant spaces, in those spaces where there's no diversity. You can't grow up racist when everybody you know is of a different race than you. Very difficult to maintain that mentality when the first people you meet are people that look like somebody else. That's what I had the privilege of being able to experience as a young kid. From the time I was birthed, I was around different types of people. You know, one of my first friends was from Thailand. I didn't even know what Thailand was. I thought that was like Disneyland when he told me. You know what I'm saying? It's impossible to be convinced that we need to push out all the immigrants in this world, this America, if you were raised around people from all over the world and you got a chance to break bread with people from all over the world. As a child, like, that's what a lot of these people have been depraved of all over this country, where you only find white people, only find black people. Like, y'all been robbed of something real that you don't really understand, but you definitely are making decisions in the opposite direction because of it a lot of times, voting the wrong way, you know, believing lies about people, believing people who intend to smear the image of people. And you don't know people. You haven't been around them enough to know them. You don't know of a world where they can be your friend, where they can be a part of the village that raises your child. That's the privilege of being in Los Angeles. You can't tell me about nobody from different cultures, because I've been around a lot of cultures. And I'm open-minded about the ones I haven't been around based on the truth about being around a lot of cultures. I've already seen it ain't too much difference between us. You know what I'm saying? So these cultures don't separate us as much as we think they do. A lot of good can come from the blending of cultures if people just open their mind and start listening to the testimony of people like myself who were raised around different people from the moment I was born. Sure, there's some stuff that ain't always positive. Sure, there's some pockets of people who are going to want to keep people at odds, or the posturing of negative energy that's going to ultimately have certain tribes at war with one another. That type of stuff is always going to be, whether it's amongst you and only your people or a diversified mix of everybody. You're going to have evil and good in these processes that are going to want to separate or blend people together. It is what it is. But that people have to be afraid that they're not going to have no more of their people because other people are coming in, that's a lie. It's a lie. Whites do not have to be afraid about being blended out just because Mexican people are coming into the neighborhoods and marrying their children, or black people coming in the neighborhoods and marrying their children. You don't have to believe that lie. That's a lie. There's still going to be plenty of white people that are going to be blending with white people. There's going to be plenty of representatives of your people and my people. And we're going to learn to live better amongst one another as we go forward. You can think the same thing about the Palestinians and the Middle Eastern people. You don't have to think they're indoctrinated to hate you and that they can't change their mind. That's a lie. First of all, they never even had those indoctrinations in the first place. But even if they did, people can change their mind. Just like I believe Israelis can change their mind. They've been indoctrinated to hate and be ignorant in regards to whether or not they should welcome and that they should support the killing of people. They've been lied to. And because it ain't nothing but people around them that agree with them and that have that ideology, they don't have the evidence of whether it should be questioned or not. But they're going to get it. They definitely going to get it. Because if the world continues to spin, people are going to start to move around more and more. And even if you try to separate them, they still gonna find a way to blend. And as they do, they start to understand what it is I just described as the truth. And then if you don't have some middleman in the middle saying you shouldn't trust these people and that it's okay to hurt these people and that we deserve what they have and all of that, that you can find a way to share all of it. You can find a way to enjoy yourselves and them, and even condition yourself to not think of them as an inconvenience to you. Imagine that. While y'all trying to find solutions because you think that the presence of different cultures is a definite disagreement or a definite inconvenience, that you will condition yourself against the notion that you even need to see that as a problem is something that a lot of people can't fathom. But you've only been around people that look like you and you're scared. And that fear is allowing you to make decisions that aren't fair. It's God's honest truth. And so that's what I want to say, man. I just think it's a whole lot of ignorance that's driving people to align with people who want to keep people separate. I think people need to embrace allowing people into their circumstances, embrace sharing a bit more, being empathetic, and how that trickles down to support and devotion and solidarity. And get the unwise entity that thinks it's better than everybody else out of the equation. Remove that cancer from the equation so that we can learn to really get along. Because as long as that entity is in place, looking to stir up madness because of race, it's always going to be somebody stupid on our side or the other side listening and sharing that ignorance to the rest of us, poisoning the well with that seed of racism, that seed of a lack of critical thinking as it pertains to race relations and culture relations and tribal relations. People can get along, bro. People can get along. People can learn to share. People learn to blend. People learn to be devoted to one another, etc. Maybe they war sometimes here and there. Conflicts always occur, whatever. But that don't have to be what makes up the majority of differences in people. People forgive one another after a while. People learn how to deal with impossible circumstances. You don't have to just grab all your people, head to a corner, and then put your back up against the wall and hold your gun out. Like, that's not how you gotta handle the world. That's not real, man. You don't have to do that. And build a wall to keep these people out, and every time they come over, try to do everything you can to show them that their humanity doesn't matter, because you got to protect yourself from all the fear. And that fear stuff is ridiculous. Solutions are found in humans. For everything that you think you're afraid of, there's a human brain that can help you find solutions to that problem instead of engaging in fear tactic, spreading of fear. The people are the solution. That's the irony of it. Oh, what are we gonna do if we don't have enough people? We can't build. We can't. If we have too many of them, they're gonna come in and do all this just fear tactics. That stuff that ain't real. That's not real. People are the solutions to what it is you fear. Your solutions is more minds coming together to figure it out. More mobilized bodies to help build. That is the solution to all of the problems you fear. That's the irony of it. And these people are no wiser to understand that. Oh, we got to keep the people out. It's only us. So if we keep us, then we have a beautiful, clean air. It's not clean if we don't have us, and all these different ideologies that ultimately keep people at odds with one another before actually having conversations with one another. Some of your favorite stuff is in places you don't want to venture into because you're afraid to go there. Your favorite food, your favorite music, your favorite art pieces, your most intriguing ways of doing things, all found in the differences in the people that you ultimately don't have nothing to do with. And ultimately, the only thing that you think you need is the only thing that you've ever had, and that for which is the only thing you've ever had is kept you from being the best thing that someone else has ever seen. And that's the God's honest truth. That if you let them people in there, what you find out is that what tumbles forward is the greatest love is your life. Maybe you end up having some of your grandkids be their grandkids, and although you hate that today, you love those grandkids later on. You can't even fathom it. You can't even fathom it. You don't even allow for the possibility of fathoming such. Art done taught us so many lessons over the years, art has. And yet we don't apply those lessons to the possibility of tomorrow because we're too busy trying to coerce ourselves away from what it is we fear. Most of which isn't aligned with any wisdom whatsoever. Man, you don't realize it a lot of times. Just listen to people who agree with you as they continue to think things are going to go a certain way. As they coerce things a certain way, just the same. It gives birth to pain. That's all it does. And so I'm just trying to get people to understand what I see here, man, growing up where I've grown up. A lot of the problems people have in these circumstances because they continue to engage in things this way. Believing folklore about one another. Not being willing to forgive one another for impossible things. That's the solution through. It's simply saying, yo, we went through this and now let's move on. Yeah, somebody did that to this person. It was a horrible human being. We found a solution. We don't have to be at odds anymore because we agreed upon the solution. Maybe this is an impossible situation. Maybe it ain't going to bring that person back. Maybe it ain't going to be able to undo the damage that crazy person on our side did to your side. But let's try to figure it out. Slowly but surely we can break bread again. We can hold one another accountable. We can listen more to one another so that we don't end up creating problems that hurt the other side or whatever. You know what I mean? There's so many different ways human beings handle their problems. And we don't leave room for none of those solutions when we're talking about separating ourselves from different people. It's just stupid. It's so stupid. Got to stay away from them. Build a wall there. Protect ourselves from this. Step away from that. We're better than them. Weakness of the mind. Who cares who you think is better? Who cares who you think can survive this and can't survive that? Teach one another and then everybody can survive anything. What do y'all need, an alien invasion to understand that you got to come together, that y'all on the same side? I mean, it's kind of stupid when you consider it.
Guesstimate 29, please. Guesstimate 29, please.
So that's my thing, man. Stop letting entities like Israel, who are completely devoid of any wisdom when it comes to these specific these concepts, run things and run us into the ground while doing so. They don't know the first thing about being decent, representing themselves well, diversifying in a way that allows for greatness to happen, love coming from spaces from which they fear, or none of those concepts. They don't know nothing about that. They don't want to know anything about that, and when they hear testimony about that, they just say, well, it wasn't us. We didn't choose that, so. You know, they don't even know the first thing about what would make them most happy in a lot of cases. They're too busy listening to people who told them to do certain things, and they're following those things because they're in a book. Those books lied. Those books robbed you of any sense of good and humanity, any sense of a connection with a higher power at all. And instead of saying, yo, this was written by a psychopath, let's turn away from it, they just continue dealing with it. And as a result, they continue lacking in the development of their humanity. And all the different things that come from going down the rabbit hole of being a decent people. They just refuse to be. That's their problem, though. That shouldn't be the rest of our problem. Continuing to align with them and not understanding that there's more solutions found in allowing life to live than it is found in, coercing people to their doom and doing human sacrifices and all different types of weird stuff that they're committed to just because it's in a book or something. I ain't doing no critical thinking, just a whole lot of following of wickedness and sorcery, or however you look at it. That's all they're doing, following. No thought there, no application of truth. They won't let any in. They've been taught how not to, and they don't want to undo those thoughts, those teachings. So they should not be followed. And what they're engaging in is going to ultimately destroy their people and leave them without many. And that's what it is. And the rest of us will be able to continue going forward because we won't engage in those type of behaviors. Because we won't be deserving of the worst of things based on our actions toward one another. That's really what it is. They disgrace themselves and they're going to wipe themselves off the face of the earth, effectively making it so that the rest of us want to break bread with everybody but them when it's all said and done. That's exactly how it's going to go. people learn that they can be friends with one another, grow to love one another, grow to overcome certain things, forgive one another, the first thing they're going to look is the entity to try to keep them from doing that. That told them that there was no use in even trying. They're going to look at them and say, stay over there, you cancer of the earth. Go back into those mountains. That's exactly what the world's going to say to you. And we don't honor your ownership. We don't honor what you have anymore. We don't acknowledge you as powerful, and we don't need you. Go back into those mountains. You want to be alone? Isolate yourself in Antarctica. You could be alone together. Let us break bread and find ways of moving forward together without you. I think we'll be better that way. And that's ultimately what the world's going to tell these people when it's all said and done, when everything tumbles forward. They're going to be isolated, just like they want to be. They're going to be chosen for isolation. See how long they survived that. Maybe 200, 300 years from that right now, but it's coming. Mark my words, it's coming. Because there's only one way being the cancer of the earth ultimately plays out, and that's people using chemo to save themselves from you. That's exactly what it is, however that looks, in whatever form that is. They're going to try to rid themselves of that cancer. When it takes enough, people will have enough, believe me. So I just want people to understand that, man. I preach this every single time I get an opportunity to. I ask the Lord to help me with this every time I turn on my camera. Help me use my voice for the betterment of his intentions for my vessel. It's one of the things that I say often. And this is what comes about. A lot of us need to just be from birth, and although those who've already lived, it is what it is, but from birth need to be exposed to something greater than what it is that we've taught one another. And to be okay with not being the chosen ones. Like, it's perfectly fine to not be quote unquote special. That's a training of the mind that makes you think you have to be more special in order for you to matter. That you can't find confidence in parity. We got to have the most. We got to be the best. There's always somebody who's a taller person or a more athletic person or more, you know what I mean? Whatever the heck. Drives a bigger car or what have you. No matter what you got, there's always somebody who has something better. You know what I mean? So that we continue to run around finding confidence in that we're better. It's just like, it's futile. It doesn't actually represent much of anything. Can't tell me how long that person has to live or what's going to happen to them because of what it is that they have that's being seen as better. I mean, for all I know, they're only going to be here for 5 more damn minutes. You're going to live for another 60 years. And you jealous of them because they got something that you want? You don't even know what comes with it. Like, those are the type of wisdoms that are forgoed as we continue to watch people run the world the way they are. It's like, these are the type of things that they've never been told or never believed or didn't understand. And a lot of people don't think for themselves to really give concepts like this a chance. They just follow whatever it is in the book, follow whatever it is of the agreeable cultures around them, and give this stuff no thought. We got to teach each other how to think better, how to think more critically, not how to be just mindless followers, utilizing our time to fit our own selfish desires. Like, that is so useless to the world ahead. And a lot of what it is that we're engaging in is going to bring forth pain to the future. If we continue on this path, we got to plant seeds where the deterioration of that norm is found, so that the suffering of those people don't ensue. So that what they struggle with doesn't have to be as bad as it's going to be because of the selfishness of the people alive today and the teachings of how to be selfish tomorrow. How to prioritize people off of things and belongings, and status and all this other stuff that the devil thrives off of. You don't care nothing about that. Substance, the ability to teach forth wisdom, to foresee the future and how behaviors lead toward success and failures. Like, that stuff holds more value than a lot of stuff that we value in this world. That stuff is so much better for the world ahead than the stuff that we engage in right now. Trying to be the most, get the most, have the most. Trying to look the best, strongest, who has the biggest this, who has the small. Like, that stuff is not going to help tomorrow at all. We're just gonna teach our kids how to tumble forth even worse stuff, and even worse stuff comes from that. It's like, man, at some point in time, we gotta say, yo, I see the suffering coming. Let's not engage in this anymore. Can we stop? Seriously, can we stop? Or are we just so far in the Stone Age in our thinking that we're just gonna tumble forth that suffering inevitably? There's no way around it. We're just gonna be dumb. You know what I'm saying? Like, can we not? And as long as we continue to let the same people run the earth the same way they've been running it, following the same cultures of substance denied and material accepted, it's just gonna be harder for our kids, man. It's gonna get more and more difficult for them to survive, more and more difficult for them to keep up with the Joneses. It don't have to be like that. It doesn't yield none of the real things that ultimately make this world a better place. It doesn't teach our kids how to care about what comes after them. And eventually one of these generations is going to destroy the earth with the bombs that we built today and the bombs that were built by our forefathers before that. They're going to, you know, that's what's going to happen. We're going to destroy ourselves. I don't think it's necessary. I think a lot of that's foreseeable. I think the Lord put me on this earth to plant this seed, hopefully to get people to think about certain things and change their ways and start shunning stuff that ultimately needs to be shunned for the betterment of the wisdom that we need to survive with. You know, stop uplifting people who don't give a nothing or care about anybody else. Stop looking at people who are the tyrants of the earth and continuing to give them praise for conquering things in unfairness and suffering and ills and violence and all that. Stop celebrating these entities that teach us how to kill one another and ultimately deserve murdering of ourselves. Stop giving snooty people your best intentions in regards to celebrating them for having the most. Like that, just stop it. Shun that energy. That's the energy that's ultimately going to tumble forth the pain of your grandkids. Stop it. It's nothing worse, and I'm not going to call out nobody's name. I just don't feel it's necessary to even make that point that way. But I will say this. It's nothing worse than seeing a person from some of these impoverished areas, places where people don't have a whole lot, celebrating themselves for having so much. I saw a person a couple days ago, maybe it was yesterday, from a country where there ain't a whole lot from there. It's not a lot there. Sitting up here saying life is so easy, rich and beautiful. I'm like, fam, your people are starving. Your people are being treated terribly in the countries where they've migrated to. That is not their reality. You're supposed to be representing them, and this is the image you show. You're stumbling your nose at the rest of the world because you have a lot and because you look a certain way. You're the scum of the earth. You're what's wrong. You're why people are willing to screw people over to get to the measures of life that ultimately you're saying is the greatest thing in the world. To the soft life, the easy life while everybody suffers around you. You are a problem. You're not to be celebrated. You are to be taught something different so that you can stop being a problem if we're doing things correctly. Someone needs to sit you down and say, yo, you're representing yourself in a way that's going to hurt the rest of us if we try to aim for what it is that ultimately you're bragging about. And there's a lot of sad little people, little boys and little girls in this world because they can't reach what it is you have while you're bragging about it. While you're uplifting the presence of that energy as if it's something that can be obtained without wrongdoing. It cannot be obtained for a lot of people. And they look up to you. The devil loves people like you because you're exactly what keeps people doing his bidding. So that they can live up to be what it is you ultimately tell them they should not allow themselves to never become, for which they can never reach. They stepping on everybody, forgoing their self-awareness, self-control, self-respect, just so they can live up to standards that you've set for them, that they cannot reach. That's not even meant for them to reach. You were propped up there by people who want you to do that so that they can destroy a lot of your people. So that they can belittle your people into not loving themselves and loving them. passing forth the same nonsense that so many pass to you, which would allow you to engage in that nonsense. Be a leader, be different. You do have a lot of money. You do have a lot of success. You do look a certain way. How about you teach people how to love themselves for who they are? Instead of thumbing your nose at people in the presence of your status. The essence of what's wrong with this world is people like that. And she ain't from no rich place. She's from a country where people don't have nothing. It's ridiculous. At some point in time, we got to start holding these people accountable. At some point in time, we got to start shunning this energy that ultimately causes us into idolizing impossible measures of material and superficial stuff, man. We got to stop that. Not everybody can get that, but everybody can certainly kill themselves trying to, believe me. That's the problem. Not everybody gonna look like that. People can certainly lay themselves on a table and have somebody cut them up a million different ways, try to make themselves look that way. You can do that, spending thousands of dollars that they got God knows how awful ways. You know what I mean? So that they can live up to those immeasurable beauty standards. It's like, yo, stop. Literally. You're making the world worse just by being this way. Stop. Video 44. I thank y'all for watching. I'm out.